So we're going to New York City. We're going to New York City. Now, the thing is, in 2023, AOC did a video about Israel having the right to exist, okay? And I think that video that's been going viral right now, again, that happened like 2 years ago, and we addressed that in a segment for Hard Lens Media, okay? Now, Zohran Mamdani, he is right now getting close to Cuomo in the New York primary election. Now, again, voter turnout is going to be key. There's already talk about third parties, and Democrats are afraid of third parties in New York City. Roger Meadows has been giving me a treasure trove of information, and I got to go through that today. I also got a lot of other stuff that I got to go through today, so it's never an easy day, even on the weekend. But what is happening here is that apparently this mayoral candidate has been protested against. So I want to pull up this video here. Now, it's from Hassan Piker. He's going to give his 2 cents, of course, but I think it's important that we do address this and play it. So let's go ahead and pull this up here.
Today, more than 48 Palestinians were killed. You should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed. And the Quran is telling us that there are only hypocrites. Hypocrites who believe in Allah and say that they are Muslims.
Also, this moment happened right after, if you didn't see it already. A Palestinian woman stands up and says to this protester, "I'm Palestinian, don't speak on behalf of Palestinians and please leave." And this protester starts screaming at her and speaking over her in response. Incredible stuff. Now, I don't think these people are like mentally ill or whatever, okay? It's a genocide. And I think the appropriate thing to do, even when someone is behaving as though they are a wrecker in this process, is to offer sympathy, okay? It is to offer sympathy to people who are even criticizing you, an actual stalwart ally of Palestinians. People do it to me too. People yell at me sometimes, okay? Mamdani co-founded a chapter of Students for Justice in Palestine at Bowdoin College. He advocates for equal rights for all in Israel and Palestine, supports BDS, opposes U.S. military aid to Israel, and rejects Israel's identity as a Jewish state, prioritizing equal rights over the racial, religious, and ethnic supremacy practiced under the current system. Okay? The notion that like he is in opposition to the Palestinian emancipatory movement is ridiculous. Okay? It's ridiculous. But you still have to keep composure and be sympathetic to people like this because it is a genocide at the end of the day. And they're...
Look, here's the thing. Here's my opinion of the New York election. It reminds me of the 2023 Chicago City election, okay? Brandon Johnson hyped himself as this progressive, and guess what? No follow-through. A lot of mistakes. If Zohran is able to succeed and actually pull an upset and defeat Cuomo, remember, it's a general election, and Cuomo and Eric Adams are both going to be running as independent / third-party candidates. So, you know, there you go. That's going to be a thing. And even if Zohran does win, you know, I'm not holding much faith in his ability to follow through with a lot of his things, because remember, you know, this is New York City politics. Y'all don't really expect him to have follow through, do you? I mean, plus, I don't see Cuomo or Eric Adams just going into that sweet good night.
Given that it's a genocide at the end of the day, victims have said genocide are understandably going to be very angry at every single person. Aaron Mate says, I think Mamdani gave a pretty smart answer. I support Israel's right to exist with equal rights for all of its citizens. This highlights the fact that Israel is a supremacist state and that its supporters, including his rivals, oppose equal rights for all. I think it's self-defeating to confront him over that. Every year, charities registered in New York State send 60 million tax-deductible donations to aid and abet Israeli settler violence. Today, we're launching legislation to ban that. May 16th, 2023. No, Bill de Blasio, this is my fault. I forgot the part where to be the mayor of New York, one must be a defender of Israel. January 25th, 2014. Yesterday, we ended our 5-day hunger strike the way we had ended each day of the week by reading the names of some 15,207 Palestinians killed over the last 2 months. There was a 5-year-old girl whose first name was my mother's and second name was my father's. If you think Zohran is not sufficiently pro-Palestine, no one is sufficiently pro-Palestine. You want him to strap himself on a cruise missile and launch himself into Tel Aviv. That's what you want, I guess.
Now, look, I understand that New York, you guys are going to have a very interesting primary night. You know, I see we got Michael Vass from No Sound Bites. Hey, all the best to your city, because once the primary is over, you got the general election. And even if Cuomo and Eric Adams don't make it, they are going to be running as third parties and independents, which we covered on this show. Knowing how Eric Adams played ball for Biden and then tried to curry favor to Trump, I mean, New York City is going to be in a mess. And look, I'm one to talk because Chicago is in a mess. Hey, which city's going to end up going belly up faster, Chicago or New York City? My money's on Chicago, unfortunately. But who knows, New York, you might have us beat. You don't have us beat in pizza, though. However, I just want to pull up a little bit more of these protests because there's a little bit more of a ground view on it, and with less Hassan Piker and more people on the ground here. So let's go and pull this up here. And this is what could potentially cost Zohran even any chance of even maybe holding out in the primary, because now this is where the divide happens.
It's not okay. I don't speak on behalf of Palestinians. I'm Palestinian, and I speak on behalf of Palestinians more than anyone. Leave right now.
Thank you. And I would first like to just continue to address the topic at hand today, which is about taking on corporate power. But I do appreciate hearing your thoughts.
And the corporate power includes the Zionist entity and its businesses here. Every time there's a direct action, you're very quick to condemn them. You're very quick to condemn their business. Any direct action, no matter how minute it is.
Okay. Well, I'm going to continue forward on the topic at hand for today, which is tackling corporate power here in our city and in our country.
So, and there's one more. Now, this one happened on May 21st, because apparently there's been a lot of people protesting Zohran. So I just want to pull this up here as well. Let's pull this up here.
What do you say about politicians that constantly reaffirm Israel's right to exist? Because people like me are constantly attacked by politicians for standing up for Palestine, and you are constantly defending the right for Israel to exist. My family is in Palestine right now, constantly under attack, and I'm hearing you say free Palestine, but also Israel has the right to exist. Don't be hypocritical. Don't be hypocritical and say free Palestine when you're also defending the right for Israel to exist. It does not have the right to exist. It does not have the right to exist. It's not your land to say it has the right to exist.
There's also another protest that took place here as well. Again, from that same building. So I just want to pull this up here. So let me just have this set and ready. Sorry, folks. Oops. Oh, no, kid. Focus on your square. Come on. Focus on your square, buddy.
Continue to be brutalized and protesting against genocide every single fucking day, protesting against graduations, and you still haven't said shit, but you will condemn direct actions against Zionist settlers. Have some damn shame. How do you pray every single day to Allah? How do you pray those 5 prayers, and what do you ask for him?
You made your point, but an answer.
There is a genocide happening, and yet you say that.
I'm going to take a moment to just speak about this because there may be more people who have thoughts that they want to share.
You cannot.
The first point that I want to say.
Let him talk. My people are fucking dying. You're not letting him answer. My people are fucking dying. I don't care for his answer because he answered it a long time ago. Israel has a right to exist. Let him respond. Okay. What's your answer?
I'm glad that you want to hear my answer. I just want to be very sincere. I understand what you were saying. I understand the immense concern on this question. It is horrific what we are talking about. What I have said during the debate, what I have said time and time again, I know it's not something, a point of agreement for all of us. I have spoken about my belief in every state's right to exist and its obligation to follow international law. And I have said and asked to recognize the right of a state to exist for a specific religion, that I am someone who believes in every right of the state to exist for equal rights.
I don't know state religious.
And what I have also said, please, because I've listened to you and I would like for you to just listen to me. is that when we're speaking about Israel, when we're speaking about Palestine, Israel has been in violation of those international laws for the last 18 months and beyond. And what I am calling for is the full compliance with international law. I am proud to continue calling for that because at the core of this politics around corporate power, of international human rights, is the necessity of consistency. I am not going to budge on any of these principles. I have been consistent in them.
But yet you
and what I have
cross those
said.
principles when you say that Israel has a right to exist 20 months into a genocide. You crossed that line 3 times already. And then you praise AOC, who funded the Iron Dome.
I am proud to have been endorsed by Congresswoman Ayers. And I think that I understand that there can be disagreement. I understand that. I do think, however, to call into question how I can consider myself Muslim is a step too far. And I would say that I appreciate your attendance, I appreciate the concern, and this is something that I would like to continue our conversation on corporate power.
Okay, so what's the takeaway? Well, first of all, this candidate is going to go through what I think a lot of us have seen, and that is, of course, you can't really be running in the Democrat Party, and more importantly, this says a lot about the left, and overall the problems with the progressive movement, especially if you're going to be running in the Democrat Party. In my opinion, Zohran might make it. He could. He very well could. But there's going to be challenges to his run. And of course, there's going to be a massive, possibly, let's say he wins, a voter challenge, like, again, counting all the votes and everything else in between. But this happens with a lot of progressives. And the thing is, consistency is key. We've all learned the lessons in 2018. We should have learned a lesson in 2016 with Bernie Sanders, and we didn't. Then came 2018, and then came 2020. I think this election that we're going to see in New York City is going to be that canary in the coal mine for how 2026 will play out. You can't vote your way out of this. We got to start building movements and organizations not connected to DC or putting our hopes into politicians. You can't vote your way out of the problem. You just can't. We got to build our way out of the problem.